It looks like the fans spoke. It looks like the fans said, hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. Caitlin Clark fans clearly no showing the Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces. It was smack dab empty. It will cost you more to get a small fry with no burger and no drink than it would have cost to sit in the 100 section in the lower bowl. This is crazy. The Las Vegas Aces got absolutely smacked by the Indiana Fever as Caitlin Clark fans no show and boycott the game. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
What happens when the single most powerful fan base in the history of women's sports decides they have officially had enough? We just witnessed an absolute, undeniable television nightmare for the WNBA, and it completely exposed the terrifying financial reality facing the Indiana Fever front office. When news broke that Caitlin Clark was not going to be on the floor for the highly anticipated matchup against the Las Vegas Aces, the fans didn't just complain on the internet. They executed a massive, highly coordinated boycott. The arena was an absolute ghost town. You could have practically bought a lower bowl ticket for the price of a small value meal, and people still completely refused to show up. The fans sent a blindingly clear, multi-million-dollar message. If the generational superstar isn't playing, we are keeping our wallets closed. You are locked into WNBA Watch, the absolute authority on the raw, unfiltered truth behind the biggest cover-ups and controversies in professional basketball. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and let's dive directly into the absolute circus currently ripping the league's credibility to shreds. To truly comprehend the sheer, mind-numbing magnitude of this silent protest, you have to look at what actually happened on the hardwood while the seats remained completely empty. The Indiana Fever didn't just survive without their franchise point guard. They came out highly motivated and absolutely humiliated the Las Vegas Aces, 84-68. The Fever players played with a massive, undeniable chip on their shoulders, running the floor with an intense level of effort and energy that felt like a direct, calculated.
Completely, it's almost like Caitlin don't exist on this team. You can bank it after this. This is going to be the Indiana Fever are better without Caitlin than they are with her. I feel like they are constructed to play without her, which is why they should stop forcing this and just end this thing now. Trade Caitlin Clark. Y'all want to play a different style than what she does. Just do the Kelsey Aaliyah thing and let Caitlin go do her thing in LA, man. Like let her go somewhere else, bro. Like, that's just how I feel. But in terms of the game, the Indiana Fever smacked the Las Vegas Aces 84-.
Message to the coaching staff. It was a complete blowout, but the victory feels incredibly hollow when the absolute only people in the building cheering were the arena staff and a handful of dedicated autograph seekers. The fans mathematically proved that they do not care about the final score if the primary box office draw is being sidelined by an incompetent coaching staff. But the absolute second the final buzzer sounded, the traditional sports media machine immediately activated a highly coordinated, incredibly transparent narrative shift. Instead of asking difficult questions about the terrifyingly empty arena or the highly suspicious rotational management, ESPN aggressively pivoted to hyping up the veteran establishment. They relentlessly pushed the spotlight onto Kelsey Mitchell, who admittedly dropped a highly impressive 27 points by living at the free throw line, and Aaliyah Boston. The broadcasting networks are actively trying to brand this duo with the new nickname Biggie Smalls, heavily promoting the idea that the Fever can flawlessly operate as a two-woman show. It is a deeply deliberate, highly calculated attempt to convince the public that the franchise doesn't actually need Caitlin Clark to be successful. However, the Fever's blowout victory was heavily assisted by an absolute, catastrophic meltdown on the other side of the court. The Las Vegas Aces looked completely unrecognizable, and a massive, highly toxic locker room conspiracy is actively bleeding onto the floor. Chendi Carter, a player fully capable of dropping a blistering 20 points off the bench on any given night, walked away with 0 points on exactly 2 shot attempts. She wasn't just missing. She was actively...
And this is why you got Andrea Carter and them talking like this.
Call this Biggie Smalls because Caitlin Clark is having a phenomenal year, 20 points, 8 assists. But how do they really keep things going? Well, they have a big three and they step up in big moments.
Caitlin Clark is having a big year, but how do they really keep things going? It's Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, clearly, right?
Boston, all-star starter, so many votes. Love this for her, but most importantly, I love her growth when it comes to the string. Nice little dish out, but then she gets the ball out. 9 times out of 10 before, she used to go to the basket on the well. It's her assisting.
Blatantly refusing to look at the rim. This bizarre, silent protest directly correlates to a highly controversial social media incident, where Carter publicly agreed with comments suggesting that head coach Becky Hammon has her operating under absolute shackles. Carter is essentially executing a completely unhidden on-court strike, and when you combine that with completely lethargic, highly inefficient performances from veterans like Chelsea Gray and Jewel Lloyd, the Aces look like a severely fractured roster entirely dependent on Aya Wilson to survive. This brings us directly to the terrifying, undeniable reality currently paralyzing the Indiana Fever organization. When you analyze the intense hustle, the defensive rotations, and the overall body language of the Fever roster during this specific game, a deeply disturbing truth begins to emerge. Head coach Stephanie White has actively divided this locker room. The team is explicitly constructed to execute a highly physical, isolation-heavy brand of basketball that completely contradicts the hyper-fast, incredibly visionary playmaking style that Caitlin Clark thrives in. White is desperately trying to run the Kelsey Mitchell show, actively empowering a roster that genuinely believes they are better off running their own offensive sets rather than adapting to a generational talent. The players are openly demonstrating more energy when Clark is removed from the equation, proving that the internal chemistry is completely irreparably shattered. We are currently watching a professional sports franchise actively wage a silent, administrative war against their own golden goose. The fans have clearly spoken, leaving the arena completely abandoned to prove they will not support a roster that freezes out their favorite player. The establishment media can desperately try to push the Biggie Smalls agenda all they want, but absolutely
shot. So, you got ESPN pretty much promoting Biggie Smalls. That's the new term. That's the new name for Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. And, the Indiana Fever have clearly built this team in a different, they built this team in a direction that is not around Caitlin Clark, and that's just the truth. That's just the truth. It is what it is. The fans no-showed once again, but the Indiana Fever handled business. It'll be interesting to see if Caitlin Clark will play next game. But yeah, for a while you're going to be hearing, even though they beat the Aces without Asia Wilson and they beat the Sparks without Kelsey Plum, without Cameron Brink, with a bunch of players off the street,
nothing changes the undeniable financial reality of those empty seats. If Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever front office truly believe this team operates better without the greatest playmaker in the history of the sport, then they need to immediately stop holding her hostage. It is officially time to end this toxic, highly dysfunctional experiment. Trade Caitlin Clark to Los Angeles, let her build an absolute dynasty with a franchise that actually wants her, and let Indiana play in front of an empty arena for the rest of the decade.